It is time. Time to meet tonight's starting five of bold predictions for the Kings' upcoming 2025-2026 NBA season. I think this coming season for the Kings is actually really hard to predict because the Kings have a lot of new faces in leadership positions, from obviously the front office being almost completely new. And then you have Doug Christie coming into his first full season as the Kings head coach. A lot of the coaching staff has been changed. And so it's hard to know exactly what direction this Kings season is going to go. It's hard to know what Doug Christie's plans are for this team. Will he really lean into the veterans of this team? Is he going to lean into the young players? We really don't know. When Doug Christie says things like, you got to make guys feel you on the defensive end or else you're going to be sitting on the bench, does he actually mean it? Or again, is he just going to be playing the veterans? The Kings could be a surprisingly good team if they mesh, if the veterans play well, because they do have some talent despite odd roster construction. But I mean, you think about going into the 2022-2023 season, was anybody expecting the Kings to be any more than competing for a 10th seed? No, but then they get the third seed. Could we see a similar season this season? I don't know. Probably not, but it's a possibility. Or it could go the complete opposite direction where the Kings are absolutely awful and a train wreck this season. We really have no idea because of all of the newness to this team. But now let's get into my 5 bold predictions for this upcoming season, starting off with the Kings' number 1 rookie, and that is Nick Clifford. And my bold prediction is that he makes all rookie first team. Now, when you first hear that for a 24th overall pick, you may be like, whoa, let's calm down. I don't know if he's going to make first team all rookie, like maybe second team. But then you kind of look at who his competition is, because he is coming in as a 23-year-old NBA ready rookie, and he played great in Summer League and he looked super polished. And you look at his competition. And so first, you look at the top of the draft and you see Cooper Flag, and it's like, okay, yeah, Cooper Flag's a lock as long as he stays healthy. So that takes one spot off the board. Then you look at the next 2 picks and you look at Dylan Harper and VJ Edgecombe. And those are 2 guys that could be kind of contending for starting spots on their team, but definitely could come off the bench. Dylan Harper being behind guys like De'Aaron Fox and Stephon Castle. VJ Edgecombe competing with Tyrese Maxey, Jared McCain, possibly Quentin Grimes. It's possible that those guys don't have the biggest roles on their teams at first. Con Knipple, Ace Bailey are the next picks, then Trey Johnson. Those guys are all going to have opportunity to play. And if they play well, then they could absolutely be in contention for that all-rookie first team. But then after that, the names from really 7 to 23 in the first round, all of those guys that were drafted ahead of Nick Clifford at number 24, I think Nick Clifford can beat all of them when it comes to an all-rookie team. Because Nick Clifford is an NBA ready player, and in Summer League, like I said, he looks polished. He's a stat sheet stuffer. He showed he could score at all 3 levels. He could handle the ball, he could pass the ball, he can rebound the ball. And so a guy who can stuff the stat sheet, that's going to help for making an all-rookie team. I think a lot for rookies, for the rookie of the year, for all rookie teams, I think a lot of it is just numbers, stats. Team success doesn't matter a lot. And so as long as Nick Clifford is given a role where he gets enough minutes off of the bench, I think he could put up some pretty good stats for a rookie. And I think he's going to have that opportunity as a wing off the bench that the Kings don't really have. He's going to be filling that slot. And then you look at a guy like DeMar DeRozan who could possibly be traded at the trade deadline. Nick Clifford could step into a bigger role post-trade deadline. And if he starts putting up even bigger stats at the end of the season, we know people don't have very long-term memories. So if he finishes the season in a big role and he finishes it strong, people are going to have that at the front of their minds. And all it takes is a couple of those top rookies to struggle or have some injuries, and I think Nick Clifford could absolutely step into that all-rookie first team because he is so NBA ready and because he fits a need for the Kings. So I think he is going to play a role on this team. My next bold prediction is honestly less of a prediction and more of me just hoping that the Kings play a certain way, and that is that the Kings are going to be in the top half of the league when it comes to pace. Now, the reason that I really want the Kings to be in the top half of the league when it comes to pace is because they have so many players that thrive in a fast-paced offensive system. And now it is all about the offense when it comes to pace. The pace statistic is a little bit weird because it's just the amount of possessions you play per 48 minutes. And so it includes offense and defense. Whereas when I'm thinking about pace and when I think about wanting the Kings to have a high pace, I'm just thinking about the offensive end. Like, I don't care if the other team is taking all 24 seconds of the shot clock on the defensive end. That's probably a good thing. That means the Kings are doing something right on the defensive end. Looking at the pace statistic is a little bit weird, but of course, if you're playing fast, you're going to have a higher pace. You know, honestly, the statistic that you more want to look at for the Kings is the amount of seconds per touch that the Kings are taking. Because if we look back to the Beam Team season, the season where the Kings made the playoffs, the 2022-2023 season, the Kings were only 12th in pace, despite being known as one of the fastest teams in the league. And so that kind of goes to show it's not, the pace statistic isn't the best for just gauging offensive pace. But the Kings were, I believe, second only to Golden State when it came to seconds per touch. And so what I mean by that is they had low seconds per touch. They were moving the ball quickly. The ball was not sticking. The season after that, I think they were second again to the Indiana Pacers. But then once DeMar DeRozan got to this team, things slowed down quite a bit. And then when Zach LaVine got to the team, things slowed down even more. Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan are both guys who want the ball in their hands, and they don't usually make very quick decisions with it. Now, to their credit, they are very good one-on-one isolation scorers. They're two of the most efficient isolation scorers in the entire NBA. But I just don't think that's what's best for the team. Post All-Star break, the Kings had the third lowest pace in the entire NBA. And so with Zach LaVine and with DeMar DeRozan, it might be a struggle, especially with a guy like DeMar DeRozan playing 30 plus minutes a game. It might be a struggle to play quickly. But I think when you just look at how the Kings are made up, they are built around Domantas Sabonis. And Domantas Sabonis is the perfect type of guy to play at a high tempo because of his ability to grab a rebound and push the ball the other way and facilitate from there. And then a guy like Zach LaVine should be very good as a fast-paced player, and he is a very good transition player. It's the half court where Zach LaVine gets slowed down because he just takes too much time on the ball. But if he can make quicker decisions with the ball, I think that will really help the Kings as a whole. I think Dennis Schroeder is a guy who can help play with a lot of pace. Keon Ellis, Keegan Murray, Devin Carter, I think all of those guys are players who can play with pace. I think the Kings are really just built as a team outside of DeMar DeRozan that should play at a very high tempo. And so I'm hoping that Doug Christie comes in and really tries to get this team playing fast. You know, I love DeMar DeRozan, but honestly, he just needs to be phased out of this team because the rest of the team needs to play at a very high pace. And that might mean just less minutes for DeMar DeRozan. And so it's not exactly the highest bar for the Kings to just be in the top half of the league when it comes to pace. But I think considering that the Kings have DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine, two guys who slow it down a lot in the half court and play one-on-one, a good bar is just getting into the top half of the league. Now, my third bold prediction is that the Kings are going to have 40+% three-point shooters again. It happened last season, which was kind of crazy. And the four guys who shot 40% from three last year for the Kings were Zach LaVine, Keon Ellis, Doug McDermott, and Domantas Sabonis. Now, I don't think it'll be those four guys again. I mean, I think it'll be three of them. I think Zach LaVine, Keon Ellis, and Doug McDermott can all do it again. I don't think Domantas Sabonis will shoot 40% from three again. And honestly, I'm hoping that he kind of just takes more threes at a lower percentage next year. But it was pretty crazy that the Kings had 40% three-point shooters. And it would be crazy if it happened again, but I do think it actually can happen again. And I think it can be Keegan Murray that steps in and is that 40% three-point shooter again. We all know that Keegan was a great shooter in his rookie season, shooting 41.1% from three and then dropped off after that. He shot 36% from three the next year, 34% the next year. But I think we can see that the shooting talent is absolutely still there. He has those pop-off games. He has those streaks where he gets really hot. But I think these last two seasons have been an adjustment period for him where he's taken on more defensive responsibility. He's changed his body to be able to withstand a more physical game in the NBA. But I think this next season can be the season where he gets back to where he was offensively from his rookie season. I just think we're bound for a bounce back year from Keegan from the three-point line. He's had so many slow starts to seasons from the three-point line. Hopefully this is finally the season where he doesn't have a slow start and he comes out strong. I just think this is the season where Keegan is kind of going to put it all together offensively, because we've seen offensive improvements from Keegan each of the last 2 seasons, but it just hasn't shown in the box score because his 3-point percentage continues to decline. I think this is the bounce back season where he puts it all together. He shoots well from three. I think he can shoot 40% from three. Again, obviously I'll take 38, 39% as well, but I think he can do it. And I think that Zach LaVine, Keon Ellis, and Doug McDermott have all shown that they can absolutely shoot the ball from three and can all definitely shoot 40% from three as well. So I think the Kings are going to have 40% 3-point shooters. My fourth bold prediction is possibly the one that I'm most excited about, and it is that Isaac Jones becomes a consistent rotational player for the Kings. That he really earns his spot in the rotation, maybe about 15 minutes per game as the backup 4/5. Right now, he's competing with guys like Dario Saric, Drew Eubanks, and Maxime Reynaud. The Kings have not brought back Trey Lyles. And that's really the big thing for Isaac Jones. Trey Lyles was the guy who would always play that backup 4 spot, slide over as a stretch 5 if need be. And I think Isaac Jones can absolutely take on that role. And I'm hoping that the Kings' reasoning for not re-signing Trey Lyles has to do with them being high on Isaac Jones. I'm hoping that they are looking at Isaac Jones as the guy who can replace those minutes, because I absolutely think he can. Isaac had a 5-game stretch last season where he was really getting consistent rotational minutes. It was late November, early December. It was 5 games where he got 21 minutes, then 20 minutes, 19, 18, 16, and he put up numbers. 8 points, 5 rebounds, 7 points, 4 rebounds, 12 points, 4 rebounds and a block, 12 points and 2 blocks, 9 points and 3 rebounds. And he did it all super efficiently. We know he can be an efficient offensive player, especially around the rim. He's been working on that 3-point shot. I think that he can play both the backup 4 and the backup 5, and that versatility is going to make him super valuable, just like it made Trey Lyles valuable, especially when Lyles was playing a little better than he was last season. The competition is not too stiff. I think the Kings will lean into the youth of Isaac Jones. His athleticism makes him an impact player on both ends. I think he could have stepped into a bigger role last season as a rotational player, and I think since then he's only improved. So I don't see why he shouldn't be a consistent rotational player, getting about 15 minutes per game for this team this upcoming season. As a 4, he can play off of a guy like Domantas Sabonis. He can sit in the corner and hopefully knock down threes, or he can get into the dunker spot, and I think he can play really well off of a guy like Domantas Sabonis. Or he can play as that backup 5, set screens, roll to the rim, use his athleticism, catch lobs, clean up the offensive glass. I think he's going to be a really good player this upcoming season. And now my last bold prediction. There's not a lot of rhyme or reason to this last prediction, but it's that the Kings aren't going to be bottom 5 in opponent 3-point field goal percentage. The Kings have been bottom 5 in opponent 3-point field goal percentage for 5 straight years. 5 straight years they have not been able to defend the 3-point line. And so I don't have any reasoning about guys coming in or coaching or GMs or whatever. I have no reasoning other than there's no way that it's going to be 6. It cannot be 6 straight years of being in the bottom 5. The Kings have to be able to look themselves in the mirror, even if most of these guys were not on the team 5 years ago, or any of these guys. And that's the crazy thing. None of these guys were on the team 5 years ago. None of them. And yet still, so you can't even say it's, oh, well, you're building a defense around Domantas Sabonis or DeMar DeRozan. Like, it doesn't matter. You can be better than bottom 5. And the Kings were still bottom 5 even without those guys. They just have to look themselves in the mirror and say, we have to be better defending the 3-point line. I understand that DeMar DeRozan is not a good defender when it comes to closing out. I understand that when you don't have a rim protector, you have to dedicate more to defending the paint, which opens up the 3-point line. But you just cannot be bottom 5 in opponent 3-point field goal percentage again. You just can't do it. So my only reasoning is that the Kings have to look themselves in the mirror and understand that they just have to be better guarding the 3-point line. And that's why they should be at least in the top 25 out of 30 teams. So that is it. Those are my 5 bold predictions for this upcoming season. Let me know what you guys think of the predictions, other predictions that you have for this upcoming season, what you are looking for. And I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.